Have you ever asked yourself why, despite every effort, some people rise, unshaken, toward heights you can only imagine, while others, seemingly just as capable, stumble endlessly, trapped in cycles they cannot escape? Have you considered that the difference is not in opportunity, not in circumstance, and not in talent, but in the unseen currents of the mind, the invisible forces that govern thought, belief, and action? Tonight, as you lie on the edge between wakefulness and sleep, I want you to confront a reality most avoid. Success is not a destination you stumble upon. It is a conquest you must forge within before it ever touches the world outside. You are not here merely to drift through the hours, to react to chance, or to hope for fortune's fleeting favor. You are here to take possession of your mind, to command your thoughts, and to marshal the deepest, most relentless aspects of your will toward one undeniable purpose. And that begins with a question only you can answer honestly. Do you demand success with a fire that consumes all hesitation, all doubt, and all excuses? Understand this. The mind is the soil in which the seeds of your destiny are planted. Every thought, every desire, every belief is a seed, and the harvest will be as abundant or as barren as the care you give it. Napoleon Hill spoke of desire, not as a wish or a fleeting hope, but as a furnace in your soul, a fire so intense it becomes the only light you can follow. Without it, action withers, persistence dies, and all external effort becomes empty. You must nurture your desire until it is no longer a passing inclination, but a relentless force that bends the very elements of your life to its will. And this requires absolute clarity, a definiteness of purpose. Without a clearly defined aim, you are a ship without a rudder, endlessly tossed by winds of circumstance. Your purpose must be concrete, specific, and inescapably present in your mind each day, each hour, each moment. You must not simply want something, you must become it, internalize it, saturate your consciousness until nothing else seems possible. But desire alone is not enough. Many burn with passion yet falter, unable to step across the invisible threshold that separates dreaming from becoming. Here enters faith, not as blind hope, but as a disciplined conviction that what you demand of your mind can and will manifest in your life. Faith is the bridge between thought and reality, a law of the mind that transforms abstract intentions into tangible outcomes. Hill insisted that faith is not born from circumstance. It is forged by repetition, by affirmation, by deliberate mental conditioning. Autosuggestion, the technique of speaking to yourself, of saturating your mind with belief, is not mere wishful thinking. It is the mental act of planting certainty where doubt once reigned, of creating a fortress within your consciousness that no fear, no failure, no external judgment can penetrate. Fear in all its forms, fear of poverty, criticism, failure, illness, or death, seeks to corrode the mind and enslave the will. Yet mastery over fear is not achieved by ignoring it. It is achieved by understanding it, by naming it, and by asserting your dominance over it. Each fear you conquer internally expands your sphere of influence externally. Each time you refuse to surrender to worry, hesitation, or self-doubt, you send a message to your subconscious that your desire is absolute, your purpose unwavering. Persistence, the quality Hill deemed indispensable, is born here. It is not a casual endurance. It is a deliberate, calculated refusal to quit, to yield, or to soften your standards until the objective you have set is realized. Self-discipline is the architect of this inner conquest. Without it, even the strongest desire, the purest faith, and the boldest decisions fall into chaos, dissipating into frustration and inaction. Discipline shapes your thoughts, controls your impulses, and aligns your actions with the purpose you have declared. It is neither convenient nor comfortable, but the mind that resists self-control is a mind that accepts mediocrity. Every choice you make, every habit you cultivate, every thought you entertain is a brick in the structure of your destiny. Will it be a castle or a house of sand? That depends entirely on the discipline with which you govern your inner life. Decision, Hill wrote, is the master key of success. Indecision is the silent killer of dreams, a subtle poison that robs you of momentum and allows fear to masquerade as prudence. A decisive mind does not wait for conditions to be perfect, does not linger in analysis paralysis, does not seek approval or external validation. It commands and then it acts. And in that action, persistent, disciplined, and guided by faith, the seeds you have planted begin to germinate. The imagination, both synthetic and creative, is the engine that converts desire into reality. It is where ideas take form, where plans are conceived, where the invisible becomes tangible. Without imagination, even the most powerful mind is like a body without a pulse, alive in appearance but inert in possibility. As you drift now toward sleep, recognize that your subconscious mind, receptive and unguarded, will absorb whatever dominates your thoughts. It will not question, it will not doubt, it will act upon the instructions you give it. Tonight, if you feed it desire, faith, clarity, and persistence, it will labor ceaselessly to align your external life with your internal command. If you fill it with fear, uncertainty, or hesitation, it will ensure that those elements dictate your reality. The choice always is yours, but the consequence is inevitable. You are either the master of your mind or its prisoner. This is not mere philosophy. It is a law as immutable as gravity. Thoughts, impressed upon the subconscious with intensity, emotion, and purpose, manifest in external conditions. To understand this is to hold the first key to all achievement. To ignore it is to submit to circumstance, to drift endlessly as though life were a random, meaningless series of events. Tonight, as the dark quiet presses in, you must confront yourself. Are you willing to seize mastery over your inner world, to take full responsibility for the outcomes that will inevitably follow? Are you willing to persist when the world resists, to act when fear whispers, to imagine what others cannot yet see, and to decide with absolute clarity the person you will become and the life you will command? Close your eyes and consider the invisible mental forces surrounding you. Consider the persistent tug of your desires, the whispering doubts, the memories of past failures. All are instruments in the symphony of your mind, all awaiting the conductor, the disciplined, unwavering, and relentless will that Napoleon Hill described. Tonight you are both the audience and the maestro. Your mind will listen, absorb, and respond with total fidelity. The intensity of your desire, the clarity of your purpose, the depth of your faith, the rigor of your discipline, and the persistence of your effort all converge now in this liminal state to begin the transformation that will extend far beyond these hours of darkness. Do not underestimate the magnitude of this moment. Sleep is not merely rest. It is a laboratory, a crucible, a forge where thoughts are refined, beliefs are hardened, and intentions take root in a soil fertile for action. The next 24 hours, and indeed the next years, will bear witness to the patterns you set tonight, the mental habits you cultivate, and the fire you ignite within. Let every fear, every hesitation, every self-imposed limitation dissolve. Let your desire consume all lesser impulses. Let faith and persistence intertwine so completely that doubt has no foothold. Let your imagination sketch the reality you intend to inhabit. And finally, let decision lock these forces into action, ensuring that the seed of your inner conquest will inevitably sprout, grow, and bear fruit in the world outside. Tonight you stand at the threshold of mastery. The mind is a servant, but only to the one who commands it. You have the tools, the principles, and the invisible laws. You have the opportunity to shape your destiny, to bend reality to the direction of your will, to transform desire into achievement and thought into tangible success. What remains is to commit, to give your mind no option but obedience, to give your subconscious no alti. Our native but execution, to give yourself no peace until the internal conquest is complete. As you slip into sleep, allow the full weight of this responsibility to settle upon you, not as a burden, but as the only path to true freedom, power, and accomplishment. You are now the architect, the master, and the relentless pursuer of your own destiny. Now, as the darkness envelops your consciousness and your body begins to relax into the rhythm of night, you must confront a truth that few dare to contemplate. The battlefield of success exists entirely within. It is neither in wealth nor titles nor the fleeting approval of others. These are merely mirrors reflecting the victories already won in the theater of the mind. The first commandment of achievement is this: conquer the internal war, and the external victories will follow inevitably, like shadows cast by a sun you have ignited. The mind is a delicate instrument, and yet it is also a forge of immense power. Every thought you entertain, every belief you accept, every image you allow to dominate your imagination shapes the fabric of your reality. Napoleon Hill insisted that the subconscious is a servant to the dominant thoughts you impress upon it. It does not discriminate. It does not negotiate. It does not rest. It works tirelessly to manifest whatever you feed it, whether fear, doubt, indecision, or relentless desire and unwavering faith. If you wish to transform your life, you must become the master of this instrument. He, relentless sculptor of your inner world. Consider the nature of desire. Not a casual want, not a whimsical longing, but a burning, obsessive, consuming desire so intense that it eclipses all else. This desire is the engine of action, the signal fire that tells your subconscious mind that mediocrity is unacceptable. Without it, persistence falters, discipline weakens, and faith becomes hollow. But with it, you have the fuel to move mountains, the impetus to act decisively, and the courage to confront every fear that lurks in the shadowed corners of your mind. Desire, however, is not born from fantasy. It is forged in clarity, sharpened by purpose, and disciplined by persistence. You must define what you want with precision, to the point where ambiguity is impossible, and then saturate every part of your consciousness with this singular aim. Faith follows desire like a shadow, inseparable and vital. Hill did not speak of faith as a vague hope or fleeting optimism. He spoke of it as a condition of mind cultivated with method, with repetition, and with deliberate mental command. Faith is the invisible hand that moves thought into reality. It is the bridge across which desire travels to manifest in the world of form. But faith requires action. To believe without doing is to mock the very principle that allows success to materialize. Every affirmation, every visualization, every mental rehearsal impresses your subconscious with the certainty of your intention. The mind does no distinguish between imagined and real events. It responds to the intensity of belief and emotion, molding reality accordingly. And here lies the rub. Most minds are polluted by fear. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of death, all subtle, insidious chains that bind potential before it can be realized. But fear, like all mental states, is subject to mastery. It is not eliminated by avoidance. It is confronted, understood, and deliberately dominated. Every fear you confront internally becomes a point of leverage externally. Each time you assert your will over hesitation, over doubt, over the murmurs of insecurity, you expand the territory of your influence, both within and without. Persistence, then, is not a matter of stubborn endurance, but a deliberate, calculated insistence upon the execution of your purpose, regardless of the obstacles, the doubts, or the external discouragements you face. Self-discipline is the architect of this internal war. It governs the mind, controls impulses, and channels energy toward the realization of purpose. Without discipline, even the strongest desire and clearest purpose become like a river without banks, dissipating into wasted motion and unfulfilled potential. Discipline is the silent enforcer of success, guiding action with precision, restraining weakness, and ensuring that every thought, every decision, every step aligns with the internal objective. It demands sacrifice, focus, and unwavering consistency. Each small act of control, each moment of resistance against indulgence, is a brick in the fortress of your destiny. Decision is the pivot upon which the mind turns. Indecision is a subtle killer, a parasite that drains energy and allows fear to masquerade as prudence. A decisive mind, however, moves with clarity, acts without delay, and commits fully to its chosen course. Decision creates momentum. It sets the subconscious in motion, aligning thoughts and actions with the path toward achievement. The act of deciding, when combined with desire, faith, and discipline, is almost supernatural in its capacity to alter the trajectory of life. The imagination is the laboratory where internal conquest is translated into external manifestation. It is the canvas on which ideas take form, where strategy, innovation, and creative solutions are conceived. Hill emphasized that imagination must be coupled with action. Ideas alone are impotent. They must be wedded to discipline, persistent, and focused effort. Creative imagination generates the plans that execute desire. Synthetic imagination reorganizes known concepts to solve problems. Both are indispensable in the cultivation of mastery, the orchestration of circumstances, and the ultimate attainment of purpose. As you sink deeper into the state between wakefulness and sleep, recognize the extraordinary power of your subconscious mind. It is awake when you rest, active when you dream, receptive when you are silent. What you feed it now in this quiet, unguarded state will determine the course of your actions, the resilience of your persistence, and the clarity of your decisions in the waking hours. If you feed it with desire, purpose, and faith, it will labor tirelessly toward their manifestation. If you feed it fear, doubt, and indecision, it will ensure those forces dominate your reality. The choice, immutable and absolute, is yours. Every night presents an opportunity to impress upon your subconscious the rules of engagement for the conquest of life. Every visualization, every affirmation, every mental rehearsal strengthens the internal mechanisms that convert thought into form. This is no abstract exercise. It is a precise, disciplined application of laws as reliable as gravity. The mind, if properly directed, can bend circumstances, attract opportunity, and engineer outcomes that appear miraculous to the uninitiated. But this is not a game of luck. It is a war of the mind fought with strategy, persistence, and an unyielding will. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, begin to see yourself not as a passive observer of life, but as its master, its architect, its relentless executor. Your desires are commands, your faith is the engine, your discipline is the steering wheel, and your imagination is the laboratory in which reality is forged. Every fear conquered, every hesitation dismissed, every decisive action executed in thought or plan becomes a seed that your subconscious will nurture into external achieve. Meant, you are not merely lying in bed, you are entering the workshop of your destiny, you are programming the invisible forces that govern your life. Your thoughts tonight are the blueprints, your emotions are the power source, and your will is the operator. If you seize this moment, if you fully command these inner faculties, then the outer world becomes nothing more than a reflection of the internal conquest you have initiated. Do not underestimate the weight of this process. Success is never accidental, never random, never a product of circumstance. It is the inevitable result of deliberate, disciplined, and persistent application of the mind's laws. Every moment spent in indecision, doubt, or fear is a moment surrendered. Every moment spent in deliberate desire, focused visualization, and unwavering faith is a moment claimed, a victory internalized before it manifests externally. Tonight, let your mind absorb the magnitude of its own power. Let desire burn brighter than fear. Let faith silence doubt. Let persistence be relentless. Let discipline be absolute. Let decision move like lightning, decisive and unstoppable. Let imagination sketch the path to achievement with precision and clarity. And let the subconscious, ever obedient to the dominant thoughts impressed upon it, begin the work of aligning your reality with the invincible force of your internal conquest. The hour is yours. The mind is yours. The destiny is waiting. But it will yield only to those who seize. Mastery within, who refuse to surrender to weakness and who impress upon every thought, every intention, and every action the undeniable signature of their purpose. Tonight you are not dreaming, you are commanding, you are not wishing, you are designing, you are not hoping, you are acting in the deepest, most disciplined recesses of your consciousness. And in this act, the life you will inhabit tomorrow is being forged. As you continue your descent into the quiet of night, you must face a realization few dare to confront. The true measure of a person is not in their accomplishments, their wealth, or the accolades they collect, but in the dominion they exercise over their own mind. Napoleon Hill revealed that all achievement begins in thought, that the invisible architecture of success is built entirely from the choices, beliefs, and mental habits cultivated in the hidden chambers of consciousness. The subconscious mind, ceaseless in its work, shapes reality in exact proportion to the intensity of the ideas, desires, and commands impressed upon it. And yet most people wander blindly, allowing fear, indecision, and unclarity to dictate the trajectory of their lives. You, however, are not most people. Tonight you are awake in the deepest sense. You are consciously commanding the forces that will manifest in your world tomorrow. Every thought you entertain is a seed, every emotion is a nutrient, and every image you hold in your mind is a blueprint. The mind does not negotiate. It acts with absolute fidelity on what you impress upon it. This is why desire, when combined with definiteness of purpose, becomes unstoppable. To desire without clarity is to spin energy in vain. To desire with clarity, with precision, and with emotional intensity is to ignite a furnace within your soul that no obstacle can extinguish. This desire must consume you entirely until it becomes a lens through which you perceive every action, every opportunity, and every decision. The subconscious takes these signals and begins to marshal your faculties, aligning thoughts, shaping habits, and even influencing circumstances, in accordance with the demands of your inner world. Yet desire alone is insufficient. Faith is the engine that converts inner intensity into external action. Hill emphasized that faith is not a passive state, but an active discipline, cultivated through repetition, affirmation, and mental insistence. Faith silences doubt, dissolves hesitation, and imposes certainty where uncertainty once thrived. But faith requires the conscious effort to impress upon the subconscious the reality of your intentions. This is where autosuggestion, the deliberate, disciplined repetition of affirmations, visualizations, and mentally rehearsed scenarios, becomes indispensable. Speak to your mind not as a casual observer, but as a commander giving orders to a loyal and tireless servant. The subconscious will obey, manifesting these commands in ways subtle and profound, shaping your perceptions, decisions, and actions with perfect fidelity. Fear, in its many forms, is the great adversary of the mind. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of poverty, fear of illness, fear of insignificance. They are all chains that bind potential, invisible yet suffocating. But mastery over fear is possible and necessary for the conquest of life. Hill taught that fear is dissolved not through avoidance, but through recognition, analysis, and decisive action. Every fear you confront within, every hesitation you overcome, is a victory internalized, a point of leverage that expands your domain of influence. Persistence, the relentless continuation of action despite resistance, emerges from this mastery. It is not mere stubbornness, but a calculated insistence upon executing your purpose, regardless of obstacles or opposition. Self-discipline is the framework within which these forces operate. It governs thought, restrains impulses, and channels energy toward the execution of purpose. Without discipline, desire is a wild fire, brilliant but uncontrolled, and faith is hollow, collapsing under the weight of circumstance. Discipline is not a temporary measure, it is a lifestyle, an unbroken commitment to internal alignment, ensuring that every thought, every decision, every action serves the ultimate aim. It demands sacrifice, rigor, and unwavering attention. Every moment of control, every resistance to indulgence, every deliberate act of focus is a brick laid in the structure. Achievement. Decision, Hill emphasized, is the master key. Indecision is the silent destroyer of potential, the thief that robs the mind of momentum. A decisive person commits fully, moves swiftly, and allows no hesitation to erode the power of intention. This decision, coupled with desire, faith, discipline, and persistence, sets the subconscious in motion, transforming thought into action, action into results, and intention into reality. Without decision, the mind wanders, opportunities slip away, and potential dissipates into mediocrity. Imagination, the most potent tool in the arsenal of the mind, is where internal conquest translates into external reality. Creative imagination conceives strategies, solutions, and innovations. Synthetic imagination reorganizes known elements to achieve new ends. Without imagination, even the most disciplined, persistent, and faithful mind cannot navigate the complex, shifting terrain of life. Imagination is the laboratory of the subconscious, the canvas upon which your plans, strategies, and ultimate vision are first drawn. It allows you to perceive solutions before they are evident to the external world, to anticipate obstacles, and to design the means of victory with precision. Your subconscious, now receptive in this liminal state of near sleep, is absorbing every impression, Every repetition of desire, affirmation, and visualization reinforces neural pathways, strengthens conviction, and aligns mental faculties with your objective. E. The subconscious will act with tireless fidelity, shaping perception, guiding decision, and influencing circumstances in accordance with the dominant thoughts you have impressed upon it. It cannot distinguish fantasy from reality. It responds to intensity, clarity, and emotion. Feed it carefully, for it is the invisible engine driving the manifestation of your destiny. Consider the invisible laws governing achievement. Hill revealed that success is not accidental, but the inevitable result of certain principles rigorously applied. The law of attraction, the law of cause and effect, the law of autosuggestion, the law of persistence, all are expressions of the same fundamental truth. The mind, when disciplined, focused, and unwavering, shapes reality according to its dominant impressions. Those who understand these laws act in alignment with them. Those who do not remain at their mercy, wandering through life as though chance or fortune, rather than internal mastery, dictates outcomes. Tonight, let the gravity of this understanding settle deeply within you. Let every desire, every affirmation, every image, every mental rehearsal take root in the fertile soil of the subconscious. Let fear be acknowledged and confronted, its power absorbed and diminished. Let faith become a living force, an unshakable conviction that your purpose is inevitable. Let discipline channel energy with precision. Let decision move like lightning, swift and uncompromising. Let imagination conceive, D. Design and plan with clarity and foresight. And let the subconscious begin its silent, tireless work of manifesting this inner conquest in the world outside. You are not passive in this process. You are the commander, the architect, the relentless executor of your own destiny. Every thought matters, every moment matters, every repetition, every visualization, every act of disciplined imagination strengthens the internal machinery that will inevitably produce external results. You are not simply preparing for life. You are shaping it, commanding it, designing it in the most profound sense. The night is not idle, the subconscious is not inert, and your mind is not powerless. What you impress upon it now will govern your perceptions, guide your decisions, and direct your actions tomorrow. What you tolerate within will dominate without. What you cultivate within will flourish externally. This is the invisible law of internal conquest. Mastery of thought, emotion, and purpose precedes mastery of circumstance, and the mind that governs itself governs all else. As you drift closer to sleep, allow this understanding to penetrate every layer of your consciousness. Feel the fire of desire, the steel of discipline, the certainty of faith, the precision of decision, and the vision of imagination converging within you. Your mind is awake even as your body rests. Your subconscious is working even as the world sleeps. Every impression you make tonight is a command. Every repetition is reinforcement, and every image is a blueprint for the life you will inhabit. This is not philosophy. This is law. This is the mechanism by which thought becomes action. Action becomes result, and result becomes the inevitable expression of the internal mastery you now exercise. Let the weight, intensity, and precision of this truth settle within you. Let your mind absorb it. Let your emotions align with it. Let your subconscious begin its work. And let your internal conquest unfold with absolute fidelity. Tonight you are not dreaming, you are commanding, you are not wishing, you are acting in the deepest, most disciplined recesses of your mind. You are not hoping, you are designing and executing. And from this moment, the life you will inhabit is no longer a product of chance, circumstance, or external forces. It is a direct manifestation of the invisible laws of thought, desire, faith, discipline, and persistence that you have chosen to command within. Now, as the stillness of night surrounds you, consider the profound responsibility of thought. Every idea you entertain, every image you replay in your mind, every emotion you indulge is a thread woven into the fabric of your life. Napoleon Hill insisted that circumstances are never superior to thought. They are its reflection, its shadow, its echo. What you see in your external world is nothing more than the materialization of the dominant ideas impressed upon your subconscious. Yet, most drift through life as though circumstance CE is sovereign, never realizing that mastery begins inwardly in the disciplined orchestration of desire, faith, persistence, and imagination. Tonight you are awake in the truest sense. You are not merely lying down, you are forging reality. Persistence, relentless and unyielding, is the engine that transforms desire into results. Hill wrote that most people fail not because of lack of ability, intelligence, or opportunity, but because of temporary defeat, the inability to endure. To persist is to assert dominance over internal and external resistance. It is to refuse surrender, to act consistently in alignment with purpose, and to keep moving even when doubt, fear, and adversity conspire to stop you. Each moment of persistence strengthens your mental muscle, conditions your will, and programs your subconscious to interpret challenge not as defeat, but as a signal to redouble effort, to refine strategy, and to intensify desire. Persistence is not a hope. It is a law, an unwavering force that guarantees the eventual manifestation of what the mind has conceived. Yet persistence alone is insufficient without clarity. Definiteness of purpose is the anchor of all achievement. A mind without a specific goal is like a vessel adrift, easily tossed by circumstance and opinion. Your purpose must be concrete, specific, and imprinted upon the subconscious with emotional intensity. It must be more than a wish. It must become the center of your consciousness, the axis around which thought, decision, and action revolve. Every act, every moment, every decision must serve this purpose. Anything less dilutes effort, weakens conviction, and delays the inevitable realization of your internal conquest. Faith, reinforced through autosuggestion, fortifies this purpose. Hill described faith as the bridge between desire and its materialization, a principle cultivated through repetition, visualization, and emotional reinforcement. Faith is not passive. It is the active conviction that what you command within must manifest outside. It is the certainty that your thoughts, when governed by desire, decision, persistence, and discipline, will shape reality with absolute fidelity. By impressing faith upon the subconscious, you mobilize invisible forces that attract opportunity, align circumstance, and convert intention into tangible outcomes. Self-discipline, the silent architect of achievement, governs every action, thought, and emotion. Without it, desire scatters, faith weakens, and persistence falters. Discipline channels energy, restrains impulses, and ensures alignment with purpose. It is forged through repeated, deliberate choice, the consistent refusal to indulge weakness, distraction, or comfort. Each moment of controlled thought, each deliberate act, strengthens the internal mechanisms that convert potential into power. Discipline is not convenient, it is necessary. Without it, all other principles become fragile, like glass in the hands of wind. Decision is the PI, vote upon which all achievement turns. Indecision is the silent killer, the hidden barrier between desire and realization. A decisive mind acts swiftly, moves with clarity, and commits fully to its chosen course. Decision, when combined with desire, faith, persistence, discipline, and imagination, creates momentum. It sets the subconscious in motion, orchestrating thoughts, habits, and actions in alignment with purpose. Every delay, hesitation, or compromise dilutes power. Every decisive act reinforces control, strengthens belief, and accelerates manifestation. Imagination, the laboratory of the mind, translates internal conquest into actionable design. It is where ideas take shape, solutions emerge, and plans are refined. Creative imagination conceives novel strategies. Synthetic imagination reorganizes existing elements to produce new outcomes. Imagination is not idle dreaming, it is disciplined visioning, coupled with decisive action and persistent execution. It allows the mind to anticipate challenges, innovate solutions, and navigate the unseen terrain of circumstance with foresight and precision. Fear, that insidious adversary, seeks to undermine all these efforts, yet mastery over fear is achievable through conscious engagement. Acknowledge fear, analyze it, and confront it with decisive action. Every act of courage, every decision made despite fear expands the territory of internal dominion and trains the subconscious to interpret challenge as opportunity rather than an obstacle. Hill described fear as the great destroyer of potential, Conquer it internally and externally. Nothing can stop you. Tonight, the mind is receptive. The subconscious is active. Every image, affirmation, and repetition is absorbed with perfect fidelity. Your internal state determines the trajectory of tomorrow. Feed it with desire, discipline, faith, decisiveness, persistence, and imagination, and it will produce the outcomes your conscious mind has demanded. Feed it with doubt, hesitation, and fear, and the external world will reflect these deficiencies with equal precision. Consider the invisible mental forces Hill described, forces that shape destiny silently and invisibly. The law of cause and effect operates ceaselessly. Thoughts are causes, circumstances are effects. The law of attraction draws experiences, people, and opportunities in exact proportion to the intensity of dominant thought. The law of autosuggestion programs the subconscious, which in turn orchestrates perception, action, and manifestation. These forces are impartial and exacting. They do not favor wishful thinking, they do not reward passivity, and they do not respond to excuses. They respond only to disciplined, persistent, and aligned thought impressed upon the subconscious. Tonight, as you relax further into the rhythm of sleep, recognize the extraordinary responsibility you hold. Your internal state determines external reality. Your mind is the battlefield, your thoughts are the weapon. Your desire is the strategy, your faith is the engine, your discipline is the formation, your decision is the command, your persistence is the execution, your imagination is the intelligence that directs all operations, and your mastery over fear ensures victory. Neglect any of these elements and the internal conquest falters. Perfect alignment guarantees manifestation. The subconscious cannot distinguish fantasy from focused intention. It responds to intensity, repetition, clarity, and emotion. The more vivid, precise, and emotionally charged the impression, the more faithfully it works to manifest the desired reality, by consciously impressing upon it the principles of success: desire, faith, persistence, discipline, decisiveness, and imagination. You orchestrate the invisible forces that Hill described, ensuring that the external world becomes a reflection of your internal mastery. As sleep deepens, allow the weight of this truth to settle within every fiber of your consciousness. Let desire burn with unrelenting intensity. Let faith eliminate doubt. Let discipline control every impulse. Let decision move with clarity and swiftness. Let persistence be absolute, unshaken by difficulty. Let imagination conceive, design, and plan with precision. And let fear, confronted and subdued, reinforce the dominance of your will. Every thought, every repetition, every visualized outcome is a command issued to the most powerful servant you possess, your subconscious mind, and it obeys. Without hesitation, tonight you are not idle. You are not passive. You are commanding, designing, and executing in the deepest recesses of your mind. Your internal conquest is underway, and the life you will inhabit tomorrow is being forged in this silent, invisible laboratory of thought. The external world will bend to the alignment, intensity, and persistence of your internal command. The invisible forces of destiny, obeying the principles Napoleon Hill revealed, are now at work in your favor, but only to the extent that you have impressed upon them clear, disciplined, and dominant thought. Understand this: there is no magic, no chance, no accident in success. There is only law, mental law, the law of internal conquest, and the law of persistent, disciplined, purposeful action. The life you desire is not a dream, it is a creation, a manifestation, and a reflection of the mind that governs itself. Sleep now with awareness, and let the internal conquest continue. The path is set, the forces are aligned, the subconscious is at work, and the transformation has begun. You lie enveloped by the night. Sense the profound weight of the journey within. The path to mastery, Napoleon Hill reminded us, is never easy. It is never effortless. It is never without struggle. Every victory that manifests externally first demands conquest internally. The mind must be disciplined, the will must be relentless, and the heart must endure a pressure few dare to withstand. Success is forged in the crucible of the mind, tempered by desire, honed by faith, sharpened by persistence, and disciplined through every choice, every thought, every controlled impulse. It is not an abstract concept, it is an internal war, and every night you spend shaping your consciousness, every repetition of purpose, every affirmation, every visualized success is another battle won in this unseen theater. Consider the invisible forces Hill described, forces that act with precision, impartiality, and absolute fidelity. Your thoughts are causes, your circumstances, effects. Your subconscious is a loyal servant, shaping perception, guiding action, and manifesting results in exact proportion to the intensity, clarity, and dominance of your internal commands. The law of cause and effect, the law of autosuggestion, the law of mental attraction, they do not compromise, they do not yield to weakness, and they do not reward hesitation. Every thought impressed upon the subconscious becomes a blueprint, every visualization a command, every repetition an alignment of forces toward inevitable realization. The external world is nothing but the shadow of your internal mastery. Desire, burning with clarity and intensity, is the engine of all accomplishment. It is not a fleeting want, not a whimsical wish, not an idle hope. It is an obsession, a fire that consumes everything less important. It must dominate your consciousness until it becomes inseparable from your identity. Without it, persistence falters. Faith weakens and the machinery of achievement cannot operate, but desire must be specific, definite, and unambiguous. It must be so clearly defined that every thought, every choice, every act is naturally drawn toward its fulfillment. Anything less diffuses energy, fragments attention, and delays the inevitable manifestation of success. Faith amplifies desire into actionable power. Hill described faith as the bridge between thought and reality, cultivated by repetition, affirmation, and emotional intensity. Faith silences doubt, overrides fear, and aligns the subconscious with the commands of the conscious mind. It is not blind, it is deliberate, cultivated, and reinforced. Every time you impress upon the subconscious the certainty of your purpose, you mobilize invisible forces, attract circumstances, and create conditions for the inevitable manifestation of your desires. Faith is the engine, persistence is the wheel, and desire is the fuel. Together they drive the mind toward mastery and ultimately victory. Self-discipline is the architect of this internal conquest. Without discipline, desire is chaotic, persistence is futile, and faith is hollow. Discipline governs thought, restrains impulses, and channels energy toward execution. It is the framework upon which achievement is built. Every moment of control, every deliberate choice, every act of focus strengthens the internal mechanisms that convert potential into power. Discipline is neither convenient nor comfortable. It demands sacrifice, rigor, and unwavering attention. Each act of self-mastery, no matter how small, is a reinforcement of the internal structure that will sustain success against every external challenge. Decision, swift and uncompromising, is the pivot around which all achievement revolves. Indecision, hesitation, and delay are silent destroyers of momentum. Every decisive act impresses clarity upon the subconscious, directs effort with precision, and initiates action that cascades into measurable outcomes. A decisive mind moves forward with relentless focus, allowing no doubt or fear to compromise its course. Coupled with desire, faith, persistence, discipline, and imagination, decision is the instrument that converts internal mastery into external triumph. Imagination is the laboratory where internal conquest transforms into tangible reality. It conceives strategies, anticipates obstacles, and generates solutions that the untrained mind cannot perceive. Creative imagination generates novel ideas. Synthetic imagination reorganizes existing concepts, and both together allow the mind to navigate the unseen currents of circumstance with precision and foresight. Imagination, disciplined and aligned with purpose, translates desire and faith into plans, actions, and eventual results. Without it, internal mastery cannot find expression in the world. Fear, relentless and insidious, seeks to disrupt all of this work. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of poverty, fear of insignificance. They lurk in the subconscious, threatening to dominate thought and paralyze action. But mastery over fear is not only possible, it is essential. Confront it, analyze it, and act despite it. Every fear subdued internally is a territory gained, a foothold established in the mind, and a signal to the subconscious that hesitation will not dictate action. Hill reminded us that the person who conquers fear within gains a power that external circumstances cannot diminish. Fear, once mastered, becomes fuel for persistence, focus, and decisive action. Tonight, as your mind drifts toward the threshold of sleep, recognize the immense power you hold. Your subconscious, awake even as your body rests, is absorbing every impression, every repetition, every visualization. It is a loyal servant, working tirelessly to align your external circumstances with the internal commands you impress upon it. Feed it carefully. Feed it with clarity of purpose, intensity of desire, unwavering faith, disciplined thought, decisive action, relentless persistence, imaginative vision, and mastery over fear. The life you will inhabit tomorrow is being shaped this very moment by forces invisible yet inexorable. Every internal victory compounds. Every act of self-mastery strengthens the neural pathways of persistence and discipline. Every repetition of mental command ingrains belief and aligns the subconscious with your objectives. This is the invisible currency of success, the unseen machiner. Why that determines whether desire manifests or remains idle, whether potential is realized or wasted. Hill emphasized that all external achievement is but a reflection of internal mastery. Ignore the internal conquest and circumstance will dominate. Embrace it fully, and life itself will bend to your will. Your mind is a battlefield, your thoughts are the instruments of war, your will is the commander, and your subconscious is the loyal army that executes without question. Every decision, every affirmation, every visualized scenario is an order, and it will be carried out with absolute fidelity. This is not abstract, it is law. This is not chance, it is inevitability. The principles Napoleon Hill revealed operate with precision, impartiality, and perfection. They do not reward hope, they do not yield to wishful thinking, and they do not forgive hesitation. They respond only to disciplined, persistent, aligned thought impressed upon the subconscious. As sleep deepens, feel the weight and intensity of your internal conquest. Let desire burn without compromise. Let faith silence doubt. Let discipline direct action with unwavering precision. Let decision move swiftly and absolutely. Let persistence endure beyond comfort and adversity. Let imagination conceive, plan, and anticipate with clarity. Let fear, confronted and subdued, reinforce the strength of your will. And let your subconscious, ever faithful, begin the work of transforming these internal victories into the inevitable. The external reality you command. Tonight you are not passive, you are not dreaming idly, you are commanding, executing, designing, and conquering in the most profound and disciplined recesses of your mind. Every impression, every repetition, every affirmation, every visualized outcome is shaping the life you will inhabit tomorrow. The forces that govern destiny, invisible yet absolute, are now at work responding to your internal mastery. You are not hoping, you are acting. You are not waiting, you are commanding. You are not wishing, you are conquering. The unseen forces, the mental laws, and the internal mastery you cultivate tonight will continue to operate while the world sleeps, aligning circumstances, directing action, and manifesting results that reflect your dominance over thought, will, and emotion. Napoleon Hill revealed that this is how all success is produced, how all achievement is guaranteed, and how life becomes an exact reflection of the mind that governs itself. Tonight, the blueprint is set, the engine is running, and the transformation is inevitable. Now, as the night deepens and the world outside sinks into silence, you must confront a truth that cannot be ignored. Your life, your achievements, your very existence are nothing more than the reflection of the inner dominion you exercise over your own mind. Everything you see, touch, or experience externally is the manifestation of forces invisible yet absolute, forces that operate ceaselessly in accordance with the dominant thoughts impressed upon your consciousness. Napoleon Hill revealed that these mental laws, the principles of desire, faith, persistence, decision, imagination, and self-discipline, are impartial, exacting, and unyielding. They do not compromise, they do not negotiate, they do not yield to excuses, circumstance, or hesitation. They respond only to mastery, to clarity, to intensity, and to absolute purpose. And tonight, as your body relaxes and your mind drifts toward sleep, you stand at the threshold of absolute internal conquest. Do not misunderstand this. The path you walk is not gentle. It is not lined with comfort, reassurance, or the applause of others. The path to greatness is a crucible, a relentless forge in which desire is tested, faith is hardened, persistence is measured, and self-discipline is sharpened. Every moment of hesitation, every flicker of doubt, every indulgence of comfort is a betrayal of your internal power. But the mind that is trained, the mind that is deliberate, and the mind that commands itself without compromise, this mind is unstoppable. It does not wait for opportunity, it creates it. It does not seek permission, it asserts dominance. It does not stumble through circumstance, it bends reality to its will. Tonight you must claim this mind. Tonight you must seize absolute authority over thought, emotion, and intention. Let us examine in its full gravity the principle of desire. Desire is not a fleeting hope, a whimsical wish, or a casual longing. It is the furnace in which all accomplishment is forged. It is a fire that consumes hesitation, doubt, and lesser distractions until nothing remains but a singular, relentless purpose. Hill described desire as the starting point of all achievement, but not mere desire. It must be intense, specific, and unrelenting. It must dominate your consciousness so completely that failure becomes inconceivable, that hesitation becomes impossible, and that every thought and action is drawn magnetically toward its fulfillment. Feel this fire now, burning through every doubt, igniting every nerve, demanding absolute allegiance from your mind and your body. Allow it to consume you until nothing else seems possible, until your very identity aligns with the pursuit of this one undeniable objective. Faith, the invisible bridge between thought and reality, must rise to meet desire with equal intensity. Faith is not blind hope, nor is it wishful thinking. It is a cultivated, disciplined conviction that the commands you issue to your mind will manifest in the external world. It is repeated affirmation, visualized certainty, and emotional insistence impressed upon the subconscious until doubt has no foothold. Every image you hold, every mental rehearsal you repeat, every affirmation you declare is a signal to the deepest layers of consciousness what you intend enter. Nally must appear externally. Faith is the engine that drives desire from concept into form, that converts thought into tangible results, and that mobilizes the unseen forces of opportunity, influence, and circumstance to align with your purpose. Without faith, desire is powerless, persistence is hollow, and action becomes aimless. Let faith settle in your mind now, unwavering and absolute, as the foundation of your internal dominion. Persistence is the sword of the mind, the relentless force that transforms internal mastery into external achievement. Hill emphasized that most people fail, not for lack of ability or intelligence, but because they falter in the face of temporary defeat. To persist is to assert dominance over resistance, to act with consistency regardless of challenge, to continue when the mind and body seek reprieve. Each act of persistence, no matter how small, strengthens neural pathways, reinforces mental habits, and programs the subconscious to interpret challenge as opportunity rather than limitation. Picture yourself moving forward despite every obstacle, overcoming every hesitation, and advancing relentlessly toward your purpose. Persistence is not stubbornness, it is a law, the precise mechanism by which desire and faith become inevitable reality. Decision, swift and uncompromising, is the pivot upon which all success turns. Indecision is the silent killer of potential, draining energy, diffusing focus, and allowing fear to masquerade as prudence. A decisive mind does not wait for circumstances to be perfect, does not linger in doubt, and does not seek approval or reassurance. It commits fully, acts without hesitation, and commands the subconscious with precision. Every decision impresses clarity upon your inner world, aligns your actions with your purpose, and generates momentum that the external world cannot resist. Imagine yourself acting with absolute certainty, every hesitation eliminated, every choice exact, every direction deliberate. In that decisiveness lies the power to bend reality itself to your will. Self-discipline is the architect of this internal conquest. It governs every thought, restrains every impulse, and channels energy toward execution. Without it, even the most intense desire, the clearest purpose, and the strongest persistence falter. Discipline demands vigilance, rigor, and sacrifice. Each act of self-control, each refusal to indulge weakness, each deliberate choice to act in alignment with purpose strengthens the internal machinery of success. Visualize yourself regulating every thought, refining every emotion, and directing every action with precision. Every controlled impulse is a brick in the fortress of your destiny. Discipline is neither comfortable nor convenient. It is essential, absolute, and non-negotiable. Imagination, the laboratory of creation, must translate internal conquest into actionable design. Creative imagination conceives innovation, opportunity, and solutions unseen by ordinary minds. Synthetic imagination reorganizes existing elements into new outcomes, allowing obstacles to be transformed into advantages. It is not idle fantasy, it is disciplined foresight, coupled with clarity of purpose and executed with decisive action. As you imagine now, see the entire trajectory of your success, each step, each decision, each obstacle overcome, each victory claimed. Let your mind map the path with absolute precision, for imagination is the engine of execution, the medium through which internal mastery produces tangible external results. Fear, the great adversary, lurks always. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of poverty, fear of insignificance. It seeks to undermine desire, shake faith, and paralyze action. But mastery over fear is possible, and it is non-negotiable. Acknowledge it, confront it, and act despite it. Every fear subdued internally is a foothold gained in the mind, a victory that extends beyond thought into action. Imagine yourself standing before your fears, unshaken, unmoved, and unstoppable. Let fear become fuel for action rather than a barrier to progress. Let every moment of courage reinforce the strength of your will. Tonight, your subconscious is fully receptive, awake, and alert even as your body rests. Every thought, every repetition, every visualized success is absorbed with perfect fidelity. What you impress upon it now becomes the framework of your reality tomorrow. Your desires, your decisions, your discipline, our persistence, your imagination, and your mastery of fear, these form the blueprint, the machinery, and the engine of your destiny. Feed it with clarity, intensity, and unwavering purpose. Neglect nothing, compromise nothing, hesitate nothing. The laws of thought and success operate impartially. They do not reward hope. They do not forgive weakness. They do not yield to excuses. They respond only to disciplined, aligned, and persistent mental command. The life you will inhabit is the reflection of the mastery you exert within. The universe is impartial, but your mind is sovereign. Command it fully. Now make your choice. Commit. Decide that no hesitation, no fear, no distraction, no weakness, no outside circumstance will determine your path. Command your mind. Align your subconscious. Strengthen your discipline. Intensify your faith. Ignite your desire. Persist beyond adversity. Imagine with precision. Confront fear completely. Act decisively. Take absolute responsibility. Let every fiber of your being declare that you will no longer drift, wait, or succumb. Rise now in your mind. See yourself as the master of your thoughts, the architect of your purpose, the relentless executor of your destiny. Command your subconscious to work tirelessly, without compromise, without pause, until your desires manifest in full. Accept the burden of responsibility. Embrace the discipline. Commit with intensity. Persist without hesitation. Imagine every detail. Decide with clarity. And act with absolute conviction. This is not a suggestion. It is a law. It is a mandate. It is the principle upon which all success is built. The night will pass. The sun will rise. But the impressions you make tonight will endure, shaping every action, every decision, every outcome. You are no longer a passive observer. You are the commander. You are the conqueror. You are the architect of the life you will inhabit. The invisible forces of thought, desire, faith, discipline, persistence, imagination, and fear mastery obey only those who demand mastery within. Tonight, commit fully. Demand greatness of yourself. Accept no compromise. Seize total responsibility for every thought, every decision, every action, and every result. Persist, act, imagine, decide, believe, discipline, and conquer. Your life is not random. Your destiny is not determined by chance. It is forged in this moment in the hidden chambers of your mind by the intensity, clarity, and unrelenting discipline you exercise now. Rise as the master of your mind. Command your subconscious. Manifest your purpose. The life you desire is inevitable, but only if you seize it with unyielding will, relentless persistence, and absolute internal mastery. This is your law. This is your moment. This is your destiny. And the world will bend to your command because you have taken control completely and irrevocably of the most powerful force in the universe, your own mind.